It's been around forever. Jund kind of coming back up a little bit.
Yep, coming back up. Got a new tool in Ren and 6. 2-mana Planeswalker for Modern Horizons. You can it comes down to 3. You can use its plus ability to return a land from your graveyard to your hand, not a battlefield. It's not busted. And you can -1 to deal 1 damage to any target. So Randall's going to be working with that new tool. Got the Flooded Strand playmat here.
Oh, wow. This is the old Nationals?
Yep.
Last year's Nationals, I think?
Yep.
I like it. They're beautiful.
They are beautiful. The Mario Kart stage.
Who do you like in this matchup? I guess that's the next question.
Traditionally, I believe Jund has had the tools to really keep pace with Burn, but recently their shift to Ren and 6 has taken some of those slots that are normally good against them. Some Scavenging Oozes are gone sometimes. Obviously, Jund is a pile. You can build it however you want. But we might not see as many Scavenging Oozes, which you usually like in the Burn matchup, and instead you have Ren and 6, which is a card that has nearly no text in this matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you it does anything. Now, I will say that Randall does have 2 Scavenging Oozes.
Okay, great.
But I mean, you still have 2 Dark Confidants, 2 Thought Seizes, which really hurt you back a little bit. Makes this matchup way harder. We do get better afterboard with Collective Brutalities a little bit.
Yes.
But you're right. Main deck, I'm not really liking Randall for game 1 here.
Yep. So yeah, lately we've seen Burn usually take it, and both of these very skilled players. We've seen them top 8 many a competitive event. Yep. So this should be a good match, and maybe it won't last the entire round. It is Burn.
Maybe we'll get to show you another human being playing Magic.
Yes.
It does look like Randall is going to go ahead and put a card to the bottom of his library there, indicating the mulligan to 6. Mountain Go from Dave.
So maybe Lightning Bolt here. Wow.
Well, I will say that Dave Nolan is one of the most patient Magic players I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
So it's very possible Dave has Lightning Bolt or had a spike or something and still just opted to just do nothing.
Yeah. No sorcery speed plays.
I love it. Out of Dave here, Randall going to fetch, go down to 19.
Yeah, usually when you see a Burn player go for the turn 1 creature for speed or turn 1 suspend Riftbolt, but Dave says, you know what? Got 7 cards in my hand. All these 7 cards are going to do 3 damage to my opponent, and that will put him to 0.
Yeah, and this keeps going back to, like, I think a lot of Burn players, if you're new to Modern, a lot of people tell you to pick up Burn because it's cheap on one hand, and then two, the game plan is linear. You do see Randall shock down to 17. This is a matchup where life totals matter, by the way.
Yes.
So
there's a Ren and 6.
And 2 mana do nothing.
Yep. Well, it's going to... Okay, so it will advance your game plan a bit. You will be able to hit land drops. That's important. The minus, you want to have utility in most matchups. So we'll see if this Ren and 6 will have an impact. But Dave is going to do 4 damage to Randall, putting him down to 13.
Yeah. And this is how you draw it up if you're Dave Nolan. You know, you've casted 1 card and your opponent is almost half their life.
Yep.
Full grip of 7 cards still.
Yeah, and only 5 of those need to be Lightning Bolt. There's an Inspiring Vantage untapped for Dave. 2 mana. Boros Charm you.
Put you to 9. Now, this is kind of an early... We were talking about how Dave was patient. These are 2 both pretty quick plays here.
Probably a light up the stage here from Dave. Boros Charming to turn on... Oh, no, a Skewer. So he is turning on Spectacle, but it is for Skewer the Critics. So Randall is at 4. Or, is that right?
6.
6. He's at 6. 2 bolts.
2 bolts away. Black Leaves Cliff.
Randall's at 2 bolts.
That's actually just how we should track it on the thing. Is
that's how I think about it.
2 bolts to, Liliana the Veil. This is kind of one way for him to start crawling back up.
Yeah. Could get a bolt out of Dave's hand.
Yeah. Get one of the 2 bolts that will kill you out of there. Up goes the elevator, discards a Sacred Foundry, so not the target you're looking for.
This is usually the turn where Burn has it. That's what we frequently see. Say, set up. If I survive the next turn, I might be able to claw back, but if you have it, I'm dead. And this may be the I have it turn from Dave, but the slow rolling...
Searing Blaze, 3 mana.
Just to skewer
you. 1 Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, 1 Lightning Bolt. Randall's down to 1 Lightning Bolt. But that was 3 mana from Dave, and that's not what he wants to use for a Lightning Bolt.
I did see a Searing Blaze in his hand, which isn't great in this matchup. It does have some utility if he decides, I'm going to play my Tarmogoyf or my Bloodbraid Elf or anything on this turn.
But you do need a target for Searing Blaze.
But I mean, it is 3 to 20, so Dave has a lot of outs, a lot of times draw cards.
Yeah, Randall here really needs to find Scavenging Ooze. Randall's fetch lands also just got a whole lot worse. So we're going to see here Randall play that Scavenging Ooze that can get him back in the game.
No more green mana, though, as a follow-up, and you can't really shock yourself.
Now
Blackleaf's Cliff.
that Searing Blaze you were talking about?
Oh, it's game. Play land in game, right?
Yep.
So does Dave have the land? Sacred Founder got discarded.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's Wooded Foothills.
Landfall.
Do this to you. Your life total should equal 0. Oh, let me read this real fast. Does 3 to this.
Yeah, Randall's probably thinking, can I bold the Scavenging Ooze and will it resolve? And the answer is it will still resolve.
It will still resolve. 2 separate targets on that card.
Yep.
No more. Yep. Let's double check.
Yep. You always want to be sure.
Yeah, you can't.
Outs.
Yep. You got to play to your outs here. Randall's checking with Dave.
Always good to call a judge here.
Yep. If you don't know, your opponent does not have your best interest at heart.
Yep.
But Randall sees the writing on the wall, picks it up. Game 1 to Dave Nolan. I think that's the way we thought that one was going to go.
Yeah. That is how game 1s against Jun go nowadays. But games 2 and 3, we may see Jun pick up a couple tools like Collective Brutality.
Collective Brutality.
That's worth like a bolt and a half.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. In a deck that doesn't draw cards, in a deck that doesn't mulligan well against Burn, these are cards that really gain you back. So if Dave starts with a Prowess creature and you get the Collective Brutality and gain 2 life, that's insane.
Yes.
It's worth 2 cards in and of itself. So I like that bringing in against him. What do you see Dave bringing in over here?
Grim Lavamancer is going to let Dave play the long game. Also conveniently makes a fireball that is Scavenging Ooze sized, at least when it comes down. So he's going to like that. You've got Searing Blood, which you're probably not going to kill Randall's creatures with that. Skullcrack is going to take away any of Randall's ways to gain life. I could see that coming in for Dave. Path to Exile maybe for the Tarmogoyfs. Probably not Core Firewalker. Probably not Smash.
Yeah, the tough thing when you're the Burn deck in this matchup is your main deck is already so good against them.
Yes.
Taking cards out's pretty challenging. I imagine that we're going to see, I don't know, the Searing Blazes probably come out if you're Dave. Eidolons probably come out, maybe. I don't know. Jun has a lot of
efficient,
cheap, efficient spells.
Yeah, the only spell they have that goes above 3, at least in their main configuration, is going to be Bloodbraid Elf. So I could see, which is going to cast you a spell with mana cost for less.
Right.
So I could see Eidolon staying in, but it is vulnerable to hand disruption. It does die to Collective Brutality, so we'll see if Dave keeps that in.
It really just kind of comes down to how Dave evaluates the matchup and what he thinks is important. Randall's ready to go.
Yeah, I do like Searing Blaze coming out. Skewer the Critics may come out. You don't want to have an inefficient spell like that against Jun.
Yeah, Dave spent 3 mana on it. Like, that had to feel rough.
Right.
But then his opponent played a creature that he could just deal 3 damage to.
Yeah.
So.
And again, we were talking about Randall's life total being in a number of bolts, and that's really how you have to think about this matchup is how many cards are in Burn's hand. How many of those how many of those are going to be bolts, which most of them are.
Kozilek you, or Inquisition you, rather, says Randall. And we get a good look at David's grip here. Path to Exile, Rift Bolt, Skullcrack, Monastery Mentor ×2. Not Monastery Mentor, Monastery Swift Spear ×2. And 2 lands. So you actually kind of get a good look at the way Dave viewed this matchup right from the start.
Yeah, Dave is really liking his turn 1 Prowess creature into turn 2, insert Burn spell into your opponent's face.
Right, and I mean, I think you have to, if you're Randall, what's the correct choice here? It's a creature. Yep.
Yeah, it always depends on what kind of interaction Randall has with creatures, which is out of Jund a lot. But if he doesn't want to take those probably 3 points of damage from the Swift Spear, he's going to take it. So we've got Dave going down to 18 from Sacred Founder.
Should see a Swift Spear here and putting Randall down to 19.
This is how it starts.
This is how all good people die to Burn. Follow-up Bolt there against the Swift Spear. That's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dave left with a Not Bolt in Path to Exile, and then, what was it? A couple bolts.
He has a bolt. He has a couple bolts.
Yeah, it was Rift Bolt, Skullcrack, path.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yep. Land here for Dave Nolan.
Yep. So he is at 18 currently. If he uses the Sunbaked Canyon, it will put him to 17. So he's going to go ahead and suspend that Rift Bolt. Has one time counter on it. 3 mana, 1 time counter.
And Spike You was the pickup there for Dave. Going to drop himself down to 17, send his opponent to 16. So 16 for Randall, 17 for Dave. And if only we had a Swift Spear.
Yep.
You know, Randall going to fetch down to 15
Randall
there.
not letting Dave have fun.
Randall, why don't you just lose this round of the tournament so Dave can bowl you to death?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what Dave's been thinking anyway.
All right, so we'll see what this next turn looks like for Randall. If you can find another green source, it could be Scavenging Ooze plus eat the bevy of Swift Spears in the graveyard. It does make the Scavenging Ooze bolt-sized.
Dave is down to Skull Crack, Path, and then one card that we're not aware of. So his hand isn't stellar. He has less bolts than Randall has life.
Yep. There's a Goyf.
And Goyf is how you start winning this game.
Yep. Traditionally, a card that is superior to a bolt.
Most of the time, it wins every time.
Toughness is equal to greater than a bolt, basically.
And it looks like the players are telling us this is a 4/5 Tarmogoyf here. Dave picking up his cards. He did send Randall down to 12 with that spike, that lava spike there, but still not a great spot for Dave. 2 lands, but doesn't have a lot of expensive cards in his hand. Randall going to do some work on his own, send himself down to 11.
Yeah, Randall wants to simultaneously keep mana up to activate Scavenging Ooze, so he's going to be fetching a lot of green sources, but also wants to, make sure he's casting what he has in hand on curve. So fetching and shocking definitely a delicate dance against Bird.
Because you do put yourself down into the 4-bolt range here.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of your deck that still, like I said, does 2 damage. It's a tough decision. Jun's tough. You have so many 50-50 matchups, and you have to make perfect decisions all the time.
Yes. Yep. But I've seen Randall do it.
Inquisition of Kozilek's a good pickup there. Dave's got a decision to make. Do I cast the Skull Crack, or do I? What else do I have? So we have Helix, Crack, Path, and it looks like another Path. So.
Yeah, so hand not getting much better for Dave. He's got the paths here ready for Tarmogoyf, so that's not how he dies, at least not yet.
Right, and I mean, if you're Randall, you probably just take the Lightning Helix. That's probably the correct play. The paths are repetitive. Skull Crack. Maybe you take Skull Crack, but I really think they're kind of equal.
Right.
Things here.
Lightning Helix a little bit more flexible than Skull Crack, but Dave's going to take the Skull Crack anyway. Once Randall goes for a life gain, that Skull Crack becomes worth 4 damage instead of 3, because you're both mitigating the presumably 1 or 2 life that you're going to gain plus the 3 damage that it deals itself. So I can see Randall's decision there. Lightning Helix is 3 damage. Skull Crack could be more than that. So there's a Ren and 6 for Randall. Now, sometimes the hidden mode on Ren and 6 is -1, deal 1 to your opponent. Sometimes you just want to get him dead.
Helix you at the end of turn, says Dave, going to knock Randall down to 8 and send himself back up to full life at 20. But, yeah, I mean, Randall, that's a great way to finish the game out, is neg you, kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Dave will be jealous if that ever happens, because he probably love that function at the end of a lot of games. But
So, yeah, here's where we see Jun's typical weakness to really, really repetitive, redundant decks. Or not repetitive, redundant. When all your cards do the same thing, Jun's strength is disrupting your card synergies, but really the only synergy going on with Burn is all of my things are bolts, and bolts go really well with bolts, but his entire deck is bolts, so Randall's going to have a hard time disrupting that, and especially getting Dave all the way from 20 down to 0.
Yeah, Randall does drop himself down there to 7, so 7 to 20, and like we talked about, that's 3 bolts.
3 bolts.
One point away from being 2 bolts.
Yep. Yeah. So what's Randall's plan here?
Scavenging Ooze has to be where it starts. Dave has paths though.
He has paths and the Helix still.
He actually used the Helix at the end of
that's right.
the turn. So But you're right, the paths
Yes.
are pretty relevant, and Randall only has enough green mana to play a ooze in game 1 life.
Right.
So not a great
There's a Blood Braid. Yeah, that's a way to get your opponent dead. I love that.
Just turns it around. I mean, it puts a clock on. Nothing.
Scavenging, or no, Fatal
Push.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
I will elect
Send
to
it
not
back to
cast
bottom.
that. Yeah. I will make that one of the bottom 3 cards in my deck.
So don't love to see that for Randall, but hey, you're getting in for 7 damage.
7. Then we're going to see Dave fire a path off here.
Yep.
And just take 3.
Yep.
So 17 will be Dave's life total. But
yeah. Randall's the one with the bolts now. Bloodbraid Elf. Kind of a bolt.
Kind of a bolt? Yeah. I mean, Dave is, gosh, 17 divided by 3. He's a few bolts away.
Yeah.
6 bolts away.
Yep.
So,
Randall can pull out 6 more Bloodbraid Elves next turn.
he'll do it.
He'll do it.
He'll be the winner.
Yep.
He will have reduced his opponent's life total to 0, but also have been cheating, so they'll be arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, his tournament will be over.
We should just call the Worthington Police have him on standby at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave with 1 path in hand needs a couple of rips here. A creature would honestly be great, but looks like Dave end the turn taking a point of damage is going to draw a card here. I like that a lot. Don't need more than 2 lands really.
Yeah. That's the thing with Bird getting access to these Horizon Canopy lands. It just makes their top deck so much better. Even if you're drawing one of these Horizon lands, you're still just giving yourself another redraw for a bolt.
Could you imagine if Burn had these when like we were playing a ton and just it's terrifying. You know, Goblin Guide, he's going to go on an expedition. Take a point of damage, says Dave. So he's going to go down to 15 after those 2 points of damage. Swift Spear, well, that's a bolt. He just played a bolt on the board.
Yep, Goblin Guide is going to attempt to guide Randall to Valhalla.
Going to send him down to 4. That's 2 bolts. And Dave did. It was not a land on top for Goblin Guide. But 2 pretty good draw steps there for Dave Nolan.
Yeah. Think about the top of Dave's decks. It's mostly bolts and Horizon lands, which are you can cash in for a bolt.
I bet you that Randall wish he had a Fatal Push now to kill half of one of those bolts.
Right.
But I don't know what is in Randall's hand. Couldn't really see it there that well. But hopefully some removal spells interact with the board.
I mean, Collective Brutality would be a slam dunk here.
Oh, Collective Brutality would just be gasoline, at the cost of killing your Monastery Mentor. I guess I'd gain 2 life.
Right.
That would be
Monastery
sweet. Twice now.
Yeah, it's fine. We all wish we could play Monastery Mentor and Burn because we're sickos, but we can't.
Right. We'll get it together.
So he's going to pay 1 black or 1 green. Probably going to do some kind of disruption. Oh,
Fatal Push. There it is. That's a good start. 3 mana spell Liliana. Or Kolaghan's Command.
Okay, so he's wow. Okay, so this could be this is what Randall wants. He wants to turn this game around. Randall is what at how much life?
4.
4. So he's at 4.
4 to 15. Yeah.
Dave needs to find a Boros Charm or chain together 2 sources of damage. You might notice Randall's attacking with the Bloodbraid Elf instead of leaving it back to block a potential haste creature. Randall needs to close the game because, like we said, there it is. There's a Boros Charm.
Dave Nolan. Oh wow, what a tough out there for Randall. He has 1 out. Just do it now, and there it is.
Yep.
Oh, flipping over copy of our deck. If I had these, the game would have been different.
Yeah, but that's exactly why you need to attack with the Bloodbraid Elf there.
Exactly. Like, what's your out if you're not attacking?
Yep. Gotta kill him.
Wow, what a great game.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to get to the side match for the first time this tournament. I think. So
yes.
A lot
Gonna see
more
some
magic.
exciting decks.
Yeah, a lot more magic coming your way. We're gonna take a quick break to switch over to that. We'll be right back.
Yep.